Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're gonna be covering up my face and showing you all the tips and tricks to have a full face covered, even though you have acne, spots, marks, anything you want to cover without any color corrector. And I'm gonna give you tips by tips, step by step, everything you need to know to have the most flawless base, even though you have a skin that looks like this. So before we get into it, make sure to subscribe to my channel for a whole lot of content every single week on beauty, lifestyle, and more. So let's get into it. Okay, you guys, so we've got a whole lot of acne on my face, which I'm trying to get taken care of, but you know, it's a whole process. But in the meantime, I want to cover this as much as possible, you know, and I have so many tips and tricks that I want to share with you guys because there was a step missing in everything to cover your acne without any color corrector. And I feel like it's really important and I want to share it with you guys. So we're going to go through it like step by step. So first step obviously is to prep, prime, everything you need to put, your moisturizer, everything. If you have a drier skin type, make sure to like put a lot of moisturizer. So me, I did put the Fix Plus Magic Radiance and I mixed it with the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched face base. And you're gonna be like, it's a lot. I know, but my face is so dry. I need that extra moisture in my skin. So after that, after like I let it sink in, I did my eyebrows, as you can see, very flawless, very cute while it was, you know, sinking in. Then it's time to get right into it. I do have my little palette to put my concealer in there, and you can take any concealer that you have, but a long-lasting concealer will definitely be better. So I'm going to compare my concealer that I have and I'm going to tell you which one I'm going to put. So I do have a couple here. So I have Too Faced Born This Way concealer. This one is more hydrating and it does last less long than something that obviously is long wearing. So I have this one. I have the 24 Hour Smooth Wear concealer, which this one is really nice. It's not as full coverage and it's a bit drying on my skin, so I feel like I'm not gonna go for that one just because it doesn't cover as much as I would want. The NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, I have it as well. It is a beautiful concealer that I use for my brows and over like cutting everything. It's a very comfortable concealer, but it is a natural finish, so I'm gonna avoid that. And I'm gonna go with this one, which this one is the Pro Longwear concealer, which this one is really full coverage. It's gonna last super long and it's gonna stay in place. So that's the thing that I'm looking for. So I'm just gonna open it up and put it on my little palette. Is it gonna come out? Is it gonna come? Oh, so I put a little bit. I have my NARS right here and I have the Pro Longwear right here. So the first step after that is to take a teeny tiny brush that you want to put, you know, on your pimples, everything. It's not that bad, you know, but I still like to cover it and I still like it to, you know, stay there. So I'm going to take a little flat brush, the same brush that I use for my cutting my brows, everything, because it is flat and it's going to be able to pack the pigment and to have a little bit more full coverage to the areas that I want. So dipping into it very slightly, I'm going to go into the areas and just putting straight on my skin where I have some acne and just leaving it there for at least a minute, because if you don't, it's not going to settle. And you know, like the more you let it dry, the more full coverage it will be. This one is kind of hydrating as well compared to some others, so I feel like it's really important. And I have a lot of like acne on this side. I don't know why, it's just one side and it's really annoying, but we're gonna deal with it. And you know, if you want to really have like a full flawless coverage without pimples, it's gonna take you a while. Like, I'm not gonna lie, you really have to take your time with this. And if you have oily skin, I would recommend you putting a little bit of setting powder right before, or something that's going to be oil controlling, so it doesn't like move too much throughout the day. And that's a really, really important part for you. And it's the same, like if you have spots, sunspots, discoloration, if you have like redness, anything, it doesn't need to be some pimples, you know, like if it's things that you want to cover, this is definitely going to help you. So we're just going into it. I'm almost done. As you can see, my face looks so much better. And I'm not putting too much, you know, like I'm not covering my whole face with concealer. I'm just spot concealing because I don't want a too thick of an amount on my skin. Most of it is covered. As you can see, my skin looks already so much better. And then I'm gonna take the flat side, which is the entire side, and I'm just gonna come and pat the concealer in with a tiny brush. And I know, guys, it's a long process, but if you want to have like a very flawless base, that's the best tricks that you can do. And taking your time is literally gonna make so much of a difference. I'm telling you, it's gonna be insane. You're gonna see. And you don't want to blend too much, okay? Because you don't want to disrupt too much. All right, so as you can see, like it's not completely, fully 100% covered. So if there's any spots, you're like, oh my God, then you go back with it a bit. This concealer does oxidizes a little bit, but all right, you guys, so this is done. Then there was like, I would just leave it there and then for a minute or two, and then I would go with foundation right away. And that's where the mistake is at, okay? So that's where it goes wrong usually. Everything mixes together. If you have a color corrector and then it doesn't like settle down completely, then it's gonna mix with your foundation. You're gonna have like orange, you're gonna have different things. The pimples are gonna come through again. You're like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? I followed everything, the tutorial, everything, it doesn't work, okay? So the big trick for this thing is, for this to work the best way possible, is to take a setting powder that works great in between layers. So this one is the MAC Prepless Prime, and this is gonna work amazing to just set. And then when you go over with your concealer, other stuff like foundation, it's not going to move at all. It's not going to disrupt anything. And it's going to look absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to show you how I do it. I do take a little teeny tiny fluffy brush like this. I don't go straight into it because you don't want to put too much. If not, you know, your skin is going to dry out, especially if you have dry skin. But yeah, I have like dry skin, so I have to be careful with that. So I just dip into it like in the pot. I remove the excess. And I just go on it and tap motion only. Always tapping motions when you have some acne, and you go over the spots that you just did to remove kind of like the stickiness, the shininess, and to remove anything that's happening under there. Especially on this side. Whoops, I put a bit too much. And that's a great tip for, you know, if you have masks, if you want something, you know, transfer proof as much, you really have to set in between layers and be careful how much you put, right? Because you're gonna feel it throughout the day. It's gonna be dry. This is a great tip. If you have oily skin, again, you can put this in between your layers and your skin is gonna look so much better throughout the day. It's gonna be amazing. That's why I'll put a bit on my nose, because my nose is a bit more oily. So then, you know, you continue to kind of prep at the same time to the areas where you don't want any shininess throughout the day. And then if something really isn't covered, you could technically apply a second layer of concealer, then, you know, set it again and then go with foundation right after. You know, like there's no rules, nothing. And if your concealer is kind of like the same as your foundation, if ever you're like, oh my God, it didn't cover fully, then you wait, you put the powder and then you put the concealer back on top. And you're gonna see like this powder is so good for these types of things. And already, you know, like it's so much better. Like I know it kind of oxidized, but just like that, it's not too bad. Ooh, the redness is diminished. My acne is kind of diminished. This also is going to diminish texture. So obviously I look like I have way less texture on my face that way. It's absolutely amazing. You're going to see, guys, it's amazing. Okay, anyways. So this is done. I'm going to go with the foundation now, this Pro Longwear Nourishing Waterproof Foundation. So something that's not going to move again because we don't want anything to move. As long as your foundation is smudge proof, it's not going to, you know, smudge throughout the day. If it's like very dewy, like you might like the dewy look, but it's not going to be as long wearing as if you have a very long wearing foundation. So like I have this one that I love. I have the Studio Fix Fluid that I love as well. It's just, you know, some different moods. And then taking a packer brush, very important for a packer brush. And then I like to take a spatula and then apply the, you know, foundation on it like that. Because if I use my brush, it's going to kind of load up the product and it's going to absorb a bit. So putting little dots all around my face with it. If you want like something very natural, I would like, okay, work the product in your brush. But if you want full coverage, everything has to be very, very well covered in a way. And for this one, I'm going to push back my hair in the back so nothing goes onto it. Ooh, cute. Not very cute, but it's okay. So, and then packing motions only. And not going too much, you know, like I'm going very, very lightly on my skin so I don't like disrupt the product right under. That's why a lot of people like sponges. I don't want to use a sponge because if I have water or anything, it's really going to absorb some product. And the brush is your best friend for coverage. And look at how smooth it is. Very, very smooth. And look at that coverage, girl. And like if you compare, look here, I didn't do anything and the pimple doesn't want to go away. Like here, look here. This thing is annoying. But if I'm like this, nobody sees it. Anyways, I'm 5 foot, I'm pushing it and people are looking at me down, so nobody's going to see that pimple. So I'm like, I'm not even bothering, girl, okay? But that's how like I cover now my pimples and everything. It is a whole process, right? And if ever, you know, like you're like, oh my God, there's not enough coverage again, you can just put a little bit more to the areas. And then I didn't put like a lot, you know, it's just this one is very full coverage and you add a bit more, you know, like there's nothing wrong with adding coverage to where you want, making sure everything is placed properly. Here, for example, rule of thumb, you really have to spend at least 6 to 10 minutes blending your foundation. If you want something really, really flawless, like I'm saying like MUA kind of type of level, it's the foundation is what you're gonna see. So, but as you can see already, my face is so much smoother. I discovered this trick really not too long ago. I've never saw it before, kind of. I don't know why, but it works amazing. I do it on people, everything, and it works so well, especially if you are using a color corrector that is darker. For example, if there's like birthmarks, really darker sunspots, everything, moles that you want to cover. If you want to cover tattoos, you really have to put that layer of powder in between for it to work. And you can go with your teeny tiny brush and then go by spots to the more coverage you want. And then I let it kind of dry down because this foundation likes to kind of oxidize a bit. So it looks like the acne is peeking through a bit more because the layer is kind of lighter at the moment. But then now when I let it dry and then I put powder on top, it's really going to be a beautiful base of everything that you've ever dreamed of. So acne covered, face flawless, texture diminished, everything. It's going to be the thing of your dreams. You see? See, face is flawless. Face is the same color, especially except for my eyes. I look kind of crazy right now, but that's another story. And coffee break, since we're letting it dry. At this moment, I can like put my concealer under my eyes. I'm taking the Pro Longwear and putting it there. Taking my little teeny tiny brush and then covering. And then on my under eyes, I put a little bit less, even though like there's still some darkness or whatever, because it's so uncomfortable. I don't like to put like millions of layers under. So this is just gonna be a bit less. All right, as you can see, everything is cute, everything is covered. And then now we take backer powders. If you want to add like some bronzer, cream bronzers, anything, you could do it at this stage. So then if you smudge anything, if something happens, you can always go back with, you know, the concealer and then correct what you moved. So I'm gonna go with the bronzer. I'm just sculpting my face because we're gonna be a bronzed goddess with my orange hair today. I'm concentrating it here. So like my hair can be connected to my bronzer, okay? My hair is gonna be connected to my bronzer. And again, you know, like you really have to go careful. I take back my foundation brush and I'm just tapping everything in so nothing moves too much, you know? This foundation though is pretty good at not moving that much. So that's why I like to use that one, but still we gotta make sure. All right, you guys, okay, I think this is good enough. You put your blush a little bit, very lightly, not too much. I'm always scared to put blush and cream products in that area because it moves a bit. Gonna concentrate it at the outer corner of my face and not go on the acne, just to add a little tiny bit of color. And then the final step is to set the powder. And for this one, I absolutely love puffs. Love, 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 love. So you can go back with your little, you know, brush, and then you go with your puff with the powder. You set everything. If it feels dry, you know, don't worry about that. We're going to put some, you know, setting spray after, but like pack it on. Like, don't be shy at the end because it's the last layer and that we can fix with some setting spray or anything. So don't be shy with the powder. You don't want nothing to move. Whew. Sucking the life out of my face, girl. But look at that coverage though. Look at that. Look at all of this beautiness. Nothing is better than that. Like a full face of acne covered. Like, I wouldn't say full face, but you know what I mean, okay? I'm lucky in my unluckiness. And I'm taking the brush and then I'm making sure that it's packed in. You're gonna be like, wow, this is so matte. Yes, of course. We love it. Good matte. Okay, so I'm gonna go finish off my makeup, you know, bronzer, everything, eyes, and then I will be right back to show you the final result after all of these things. So I'll be right back. All right, you guys, so this is the final look on my skin. So it looks absolutely beautiful. And sometimes, you know, no matter how much careful I am, there's gonna be a little bit of mistake or a little bit of things that happen on my face. So I have this massive kind of like pimple that is really like hard. It's like, you know, like this pustule that is kind of whitish and then it dried down and you can't touch it and it's kind of like dry. Then you have to cover it, and no matter how much you want to cover it with products, everything, it just doesn't want to do anything. So the trick is, as you can see, I put a little bit of a brown eyeliner and I created a mole on my face. So that's what I do. I take this is a lip pencil, actually. It's called Stone. And I love to put it right there, put a little bit of setting powder, and that's it. So this Stone lip pencil saves my face whenever there's an emergency that happens on my face. And it works totally great. If you have like a lot, like I wouldn't tell you to like put a lot, like, you know, moles everywhere, you know, like I would just try to be as careful as possible and not put too many blush, because sometimes putting powders, it can, like, the brush can take away some of the products even though you're really careful. So just, you know, put foundation, concealer, and that is it, and maybe some blush on the sides, and then avoid the areas where you have some pimples. But that is what it is. That is my full coverage little face, beautiful, and no more acne, no more nothing. Because if I don't do this, what happens is you can still see a little bit of things peeking through and it's completely annoying. So this is a tip that actually works. So try it out. Tell me down below what you think about it. I would love to know. And also, if you liked it, make sure to like the video and to consider subscribing to my channel for a whole lot of content every single week on beauty, lifestyle, and more. So thank you so much, guys, for watching. I really, really love you, beauties, and I will definitely see you in the next one. Bye, guys.